Hello, and welcome to the Close the Loop podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dieny, and today we're going to be talking about small business recession strategies. We're going to be talking a little bit about the recession, a little bit about what that means, helping you understand, I think, from a broader range what we're kind of talking about, and in general, the strategies that could help a business who's thinking, okay, everyone's talking about this topic right now. This is a big topic. What do I do about it? What can I do about it? What are some ideas that I should consider? I think all those questions are great to have and can actually help your business, at the minimum, try to survive, maybe better, try to grow and find new and improving opportunities to your business. So to help us dive into this topic, someone I've had on before, his name is Kyle Griffith. He is a managing partner of the NYBB Group, where he represents small and mid-sized businesses in need of financial expertise, such as merger and acquisition and business advisory services. Kyle is the chair-elect of the International Business Brokers Association and is the CEO and founder of the M&A, an advisory network for business owners seeking to build, to grow, or to exit their company. So welcome, Kyle. Thanks again for coming on with us.
Hey, Ken, it was a pleasure. I just appreciate the opportunity to connect with you again. I just love, being on your show and very humbled to be invited back for the second time. So
Yeah.
I was humbled the first time. The second time, in my head, I'm on cloud nine right now. But in all seriousness, this is a very serious topic, and a lot of businesses are facing challenges in these times as it relates to recession. So I'm happy to share my experiences, my clients' experiences with your viewership.
Yeah, you mentioned last time, like, oh, Kevin, that's another topic for next time. And I thought about it and I was like, I keep hearing about this other topic I'd like to talk about too. So I'm glad you were able to jump on. So hardcore economic definition sort of aside, recession, kind of, if you could maybe talk about a little bit of like, what is that, so that we can be very grounded on what we're talking about when we say that term, because it's probably going to be said quite a few times during this episode. So what is that? And maybe what does that mean?
It's probably different for you ask one person, going to give you a different response, because some companies we've been in recession for like God knows how long now. And other companies, I'm doing fabulous, right? What recession are you talking about? I don't see any recession here. But, technically, you're talking about an economic decline or downturn for two consecutive quarters. Yeah, I think the economy is starting to stabilize. There may be some increases in interest rates coming again. I'm not an economist, so I'm just putting that disclaimer out there, but I do listen to a couple and get some insights. And it's funny, you speak to three economists, you're going to get three different opinions, but the overall consensus of what I'm hearing from these economists is that it's not going to be anywhere close to what the previous recessions we have had. It's going to be softer. However, it's going to be longer. It'll take some more time for us to get back on track. So with that being said, you can take it for what it's worth. I would say that we are in one, but most small business owners I know, and most of the folks that are viewing this, are optimistic. To be a small business owner, you always are looking on the brighter side. So you have a challenge here. We are all problem solvers, right? So we have a challenge. What can we do to solve it? Whether we want to pivot or, double down or whatever the case may be. So I don't know if I answered that question to your best liking, but technically you are, but maybe not. So let to be seen.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely answered that. And we were kind of wondering, right? Like, okay, we're going to be talking about recession. So now we have a pretty good idea. Okay, it's the market, the economy. There's an impact. Has been an impact on the economy, and it's not looking necessarily positive, but it could be positive for some industries or some businesses. I also wanted to clarify and ask you, does a recession only impact those massively large businesses, or is the threat or the potential of a recession something that could impact, even the smaller businesses? Like, is it something that only tends to affect like maybe banks or large companies, large corporations, other countries? Or is it something that, businesses small and large everywhere should be considering? Like, if we are, okay, what impact could that have on them?
See, here's the thing. I to my understanding, your audience is made up of small businesses, right? It's very important to know that anytime something like this happens, it's the smaller businesses that are going to be impacted the most. Larger businesses, they have support, like you've seen what happened before with the last recession, where a couple of large companies got bailed out. So they always have that saying, too big to fail sort of thing. So my passion is for the small business owners. That's who's most at risk right now in any recession. Most of the small businesses I know, some of them are having challenges meeting payroll, paying their rent. They need access to capital to grow and to expand. Larger companies don't necessarily have those same problems. They have a lot of assets, they have a lot of reserves, and for them it doesn't hurt them as much. It does hurt everyone involved, families, businesses alike, but smaller businesses are definitely feeling the brunt of it. And small business owners is the backbone of the economy. So we need to keep these businesses going. We need robust local communities, right? So that's where we need to help. They were talking about restructuring the SBA and making access to capital more available to small business owners. So that's what we need to help out these small business owners in our economy.
Wow. So that's a big deal, right? For the smaller businesses to be considering, okay, if this is happening, if this is coming, it could be coming from me and coming from me pretty aggressively. So what are this is sort of a general question, right? But what are some of the general threats that come with a recession that kind of pose risk for a smaller business? You mentioned hiring possibly, but and maybe capital. Generally speaking, what are some of the threats?
So there's a couple of them, right? So number one, I think the biggest challenge right now is workforce and labor. So if your business is on a downturn, right? So you don't have enough to pay, provide bonuses and hire the best people. You see some businesses, start making some cutbacks. They may start laying off employees or cutting back in the hours and so on. That's one of the bigger things. You have instances where you have to pay your lease, your rent every month, so you may be getting behind on that. Landlords are feeling the pressure as well, right? So it's a multitude of things. You also have the cost. I mentioned the cost of labor. You have also the cost of supplies, right? Everything is going up with inflation as well. So unfortunately, what the recession does, it creates a separation between the haves and the have-nots, right? What you see happen is that most companies wait till they are in dire need of assistance to go out and get financing, right? So when you have a recession and your company, things are not going as expected, right? You're not bringing enough revenue. You don't have enough people in your workforce and your team to fulfill jobs, and you have a lot of challenges. And you go to the bank is going to look, well, unfortunately, the past 3 months, the past 6 months, when they look at your statements, they don't have much confidence in lending. So it's always important, if you need financing, you want to have it when you don't need it. It's funny how that works, right? So, yeah. When they're making those offers for you for lines of credit and, getting extensions in your credit lines and so on, credit limits, you want to do that. Yeah, it's very tough, being a business owner, especially in this particular environment.
So, this is something we've talked about before. Having very clear, I guess, very correct financials seems to be very important, because if you are seeing, okay, this is how it's going to be impacting me, it'd be better to know that ahead of time, right? So in terms of a business being like, okay, like the recession makes me feel like I need to be head down, chugging in my business, working in the business, and going into my financials seems sort of like it's pulling me out of that. So how much more of a priority or an importance is making sure, like, okay, we can see how, like, maybe for the next year or so, we should be looking at our financials a little bit more of a higher priority. Like, is that an important idea or strategy?
It's important, Kevin, but think about this, right? We all have been there at some point in our life where things are not going as well as planned, and the bank statements come in, the credit card statements come in, all the bills come in, and you just don't really pay attention. Why do I need to check my bank account? Why do I need to balance the books? And I already know that my business is not doing well. But that should not be the mindset. You want to get a full understanding of your numbers. That actually would inspire you to go out and hit your goals and hit your marks. It also helps your projections. If you can have your books balanced, right? Everything's accounted for, and you're following general accounting principles. You can keep track of the revenue you're making and make projections in the future. You can look back historically, depending on how long you have been in business, you can see how you did as far as your historical revenues in prior downturns in the economy and make adjustments, right? No one really has a crystal ball, but history usually tends to repeat itself. So if you have some history in business, you can look back, okay, the last downturn, my revenues went down 20%. You can start planning accordingly, right? And that same thing as well. You can actually, in reverse, if you need to order more inventory, if the price of lumber or the price of materials is going up, you can start ordering more. We've seen that. We have more and more of my clients have increasingly more inventory to make sure that they can meet the demands of their clients, of their customers, and lock in lower prices, before it goes up. But just going back to the financials, it all starts there. A lot of the buyers we work with, that's one of the first things they want to look at, especially if you're looking to sell your company, is understanding your numbers. And you can bring someone in fractionally. You don't have to have a full-time CFO or someone to come in there. You have someone to come in on a part-time basis, to help you understand your numbers and see what it looks like. So if you need to make any plans, you know what you have, what you're working with.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice, Kyle. I think that's really good. And the way you put that too and framed it and gave some examples, like with, maybe inventory stocking up, those are really interesting to think about. So on a positive light of it too, right? Are there businesses out there that do really well, possibly in inflationary times? Are there businesses that have the potential to survive really well or to take advantage of the opportunity that maybe other industries are suffering in with the recession? Most of the time, I feel like recession is mostly a negative topic, but is there the room for an opportunity, or are there industries where there are opportunities for them to make something out of this downturn?
Let me tell you something. As an entrepreneur, there's always room for opportunity, and I can talk about this in two different angles. But let's talk about the investment, right? You're looking to grow your business, right? You're looking to build. You have a legacy for your family and your business that you're looking to build upon. Let's say I'm speaking to the business owner that has their ducks in a row. They fully understand their business, and now you have this recession that's coming. This can be a great opportunity for you to look at your competition, look at opportunity that may surface to you where you can make a potential acquisition. Number one, talent is hard to find, right? It's hard to find skilled people, personnel, key management. And there are companies that have awesome people working for them, but they may be in a company that is not in the right direction, that don't have good core values, good vision, and that don't have loyalty with their customers and so on. They can be in some troubled waters. So it could be an opportunity for you to come in and actually help that business owner out that's maybe struggling. Right? People think about acquisitions as a negative, but it could be a positive. You can come in there and help turn that company around, merge those two companies together, and retain those employees. That way they still have a job. And quite frankly, if you don't do it, someone else probably may do it. So if you are looking to create more robust economy and local communities for your family, it might be a great opportunity. The other thing I was mentioning about the inventory. Usually when you purchase another company, you get opportunity to remove any redundancies and purchase supplies at a lower price point, right? If you're not doing so well, right, and you're in a downturn, so a couple things you can do. When business gets slow, it's actually a good time to invest in yourself, right? Invest in your mind, start doing some research, reading, seeing what in your business can fix, because it's going to come back, right? Businesses operate in cycles. So if you have enough that you could sustain, right, start doing some research, go to your trade association, read white papers, read publications, just start educating yourself. And when you educate, you can make the right decisions. You're not going to make knee-jerk reactions. Hey, I'm going to close down. I'm going to, you're going to be making educated decisions, right? And it may open up some doors for you for some opportunities when you keep an open mind to opportunities that can present itself during a recession. When one door closes, another door always opens. And an entrepreneur, you have to be agile and be willing to adapt and be open. Whenever in doubt, you want to reach out to professionals, people on your board, other business owners. You can have someone in the county next to you that's maybe going through something similar. Find out what they're doing and can help support you in your business growth endeavors.
That's really awesome. And I love the positivity on that, the door opening in other areas. And like for the business owner who is feeling like they're pushed into a corner, and I mean, I this is just almost like a straight quote of something I saw online, which was, "You cannot do anything to combat a recession." That was like someone's sentiment. Like, sure, maybe in a recession, but there's nothing you can do about it. That was like one of the things I was reading, and so you're kind of suggesting like, look, you're an entrepreneur, you got this business, you've been working hard in this business, don't give up on it yet. Like, there are opportunities, and I think that's really interesting, really good.
Hey, Kevin, I want to build on that. So most your business is like your child that you have birthed, you have nurtured, you have grown. If your child is having trouble in school, they're being bullied, or things is happening, would you give up? No, you would not. So ideally, the first thing I speak to it with all of my clients and prospective clients, what's your why? What motivates you? Right? Why did you start the business in the first place? Right? What it is you're doing for your local communities that makes you fulfill your purpose. And sometimes, what happens to all of us, sometimes you get distracted, you get burnt out, and like things happen. Right? So you have to really look within and figure out what your exit strategy is, what your plan is, because if it gets to a point where your sales are plateaued and you're not able to grow, or whatever the case may be, and you have other opportunities that come your way. Like I have a client that I sold this delivery company about 2 years ago, and the buyer's really excited. He got in, he actually grew the business, and he called me up and said, "Kyle, another opportunity came my way that's much better for me. I love this business. I've grown the business, but now you did a great job with the past seller. I want you to help me sell this business." Like, things come up, other opportunities. So you have to kind of keep an open mind.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good, and I think it's difficult too, because you're like, okay, well, maybe there's a couple avenues, like which one is best for me, and knowing like why you do what you do, and knowing how the business needs to grow or how you see it growing has a huge potential there, has a great possibility to, I think, do a lot for the business. So
I think we have to be centered. We have to know what our purpose is in life. Are we fulfilling our passion? Is this something that we really want to do? And you have to make these decisions. Is what I'm doing, is it helping me help my family? Sometimes when I speak with clients, there's two factors that affects the growth of your business. There are internal factors and external factors. The internal factors you can adjust, right? When you talk about internal factors, you're talking about your books, your records, customer concentration, all things you have to do with running your business. The external factors, you cannot do anything about the recession. You can't do anything about a pandemic. Some things you have to trust in your higher power that we've been through this before, and we're gonna get through this. So yeah, as an entrepreneur, we're all optimistic that we're gonna get through this, and you want to get yourself around other entrepreneurs that think the same way.
yeah, no, that's really interesting. I love the ideas too of finding your industry, your network groups, your whatever it is, and finding some other allies, maybe in another area, so it's less, you're not really competitors. Now, I did want to ask you, because you had mentioned like, and obviously it was just like something no one knows, no one's got a crystal ball, right? But you had mentioned it's possible that the recession period here that is happening could last a while. So I saw another thing online, which was, just write it out for 6 months or a year, but that may not be long enough, right? So if it is going to last a while, then it makes me think, okay, businesses have to be considering their strategy for, the downturn market and for recession. And if it lasts for 5 years, it's not just survive for 6 months. Like, this might be a survive for 5 years scenario. So for those that are saying just survive, just ride it out, just cut costs down, just shrink down enough to survive, is that really good enough?
So there are two schools of thought here, right? So when it comes to the profitability of your business, you either increase your revenues or you cut back your expenses, right? That's the only two ways you can increase your margins and be more profitable. In recession, you're cost cutting, right? You're looking at, do I need to spend additional $5,000 in this ad agency? The parties we used to have before, are we still going to have that? Are we still going to take our clients out to lunch and to dinners if that was part of your marketing program? I'm a little bit more different. I feel that you have to even push the gas down a little bit more and double down, because it's going to take a while to get that steamship, that plane off the ground again. When you wind down your marketing, because guess what's going to happen? The companies that are resilient, that keep going, they're going to reap the benefit of it. And I'm sure some of your listeners have seen that, right? You dialed on your marketing, your competitors keep going, because there are people that need your services. They need their lawns cut, they need their plumbing service, they need their HVAC fixed, right? They need to get their back aligned, need to get dental work done. Like, these services, there are services that's going to be needed. So if you're going to cut back your marketing, how are your customers and clients going to find you, right? So you do have to work in a budget, right? You have to figure out what's the, at least the least amount you can contribute, towards marketing. Maybe you dial it down a little bit, but I would not recommend it all stop marketing. I feel you might have to be even more aggressive, or you can use social media, other ways, other digital technologies that you could still get the message out, but at a lower cost.
Yeah. No, I think those are really we've seen a lot of things impact. COVID, right? Pandemics have had a major impact on how businesses have to survive and thrive. And it's impacted the marketing, it's impacted the consumer, the customer, the prospect. At the end of the day, it's like, man, a lot of stuff has changed just in the last 5 years. Even now we're talking about a recession. Man, we're like adding more and more to like what businesses are going to have to survive right now. So how our consumer, like, not since we mentioned marketing, how are customer behaviors, consumer behaviors changed in impacting them? Are they like, how is that going to impact, like looking at it from the customer side, that's going to be impacting the business as well. So maybe how is that impacting customer, I guess, optimism, customer spending during recessions?
Yeah, I think on the consumer side, I don't have the data in front of me right now, but for what I have learned, the consumers really believe we're in a recession. The reports are in, the consumer confidence is lower. I don't have the source of me right now, but they interviewed business owners, and more than 50% of them were optimistic that we're not in a recession. But when they interview the consumers, most consumers believe, and you know why? You go to the grocery store, the price of paper towel is up. I mean, meat is up. I mean, everything is up. I mean, it's insane. Prices are going up. So yeah, I think it's almost like a 180. It's like night and day between business owners and the consumers. I do have to say though that if you are a consumer, now is actually a good time to maybe look at free enterprise. There are a lot of people that retired earlier than they should have because of the pandemic. There are lots of opportunities to make money in this particular environment. And there are talented people out there, right? If you can start figuring out what you want to focus on as far as a business opportunity, now is a pretty good time, because in the downtime, that's when the ideas come about. And you're sitting at home and you're wondering, okay, what I'm going to do next? I just got laid off, or I left this job. What's next for me? There's a movement going. There's an entrepreneurship movement. There've been more companies started through COVID than ever before. Yeah, I do feel bad. I'm very empathetic as far as what's happening in the marketplace. But as a consumer, like, we are seeing people actually starting to grow their own produce and being more self-resilient and self-reliant, and not necessarily have to need to go out to the grocery stores, and so on. So yeah, hey, this is America, man. We're the best nation in the world, and but where there's a will, there's a way. So we definitely going to get through this.
Yeah, no, I think that's all really interesting, and things to point out, like the consumers learning behaviors that are helping them be a little more resilient, and then some even people who were working and then are out of work, have been, and now they're thinking, oh, maybe I'll start my own. So you kind of touched on this, but is entrepreneurship, is that like an additional threat that could affect other businesses? Is people who are like, they've been laid off, now they're going to start the business they've been waiting to start because they were working somewhere else. Is that a potential threat, and is that an opportunity?
There's never a threat. There's never a threat. There's more than enough business for everyone. Okay. If you have been running your business, you have a proven process, right? You have been there There's a lot that you have seen. Now you can't just stick in a corner or and not innovate, right? However, philosophies don't change, right? You have a service, you provide a service, you get paid for that service, you get paid for that product. Here's one thing though, Kevin, and this will, I just have to be blunt and say this, right? So you have folks that are worked for a company, help that company grow, and there's no more room for them to, no more equity ownership or growth opportunities for them in that business, that company. And they began, they got entrepreneurs like, I want to go out and do my own thing. I want to build a company or create something that can be an asset, right? As opposed to helping make somebody else rich. There's a great book by Michael Gerber. You can look up on Amazon. It's called E-Myth. And what he talks about is that to run a business, you have three hats. You have the visionary, okay? You have the management, and you have the workers, right? And I'm saying this because there are very skilled, smart people that work in companies, either in management, right, managing people, or actually the ones actually doing the work. All three are constantly in conflict, right? The owner is pushing management to meet deadlines, get these guys to work, guys and girls to work harder, get tasks done, and so on. And the management has stresses from the top, and then now they have stresses at the bottom. So, and then the worker's like, hey, I'm working as much as I can in a short period I have. You guys not doing things right. I feel, it should be done a better way or a different way. So all three areas are always in conflict. So if you're a worker, you say, what, I can do this better than my employer, right? You leave now, start your own business. You're working in your business, not on your business. You're working in your business, providing this product, providing this service. But guess what? You don't have to have the skill set in management, how to manage teams, or as an owner, how to be the visionary. So now you're stuck in a rock and you're spinning your wheels trying to figure out how to make this business entrepreneurship thing work. And this same thing happens for all three levels, right? It does take time. So for you entrepreneurs that are listening and you business owners that are listening, you just can't beat wisdom. You just can't beat experience. At the same time, there are opportunities for the young, motivated entrepreneurs to mentor with seasoned, semi-retired, or business owners, and we all could build businesses all together in one big family. So what I want to leave with the young entrepreneurs: find someone that has done it before, find mentors that can help you build your business. And, those who have been around a while, help out the younger generation, because they're the ones that are going to take this company to the next level.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. And something I was actually hoping to expand upon in what you're saying there is, a business who is today right now running, some ideas around maybe what it could do to pivot, or what it can do to change what it's doing, given that there could be, the threat of inflation coming, the threat of, downturn coming, the impact that has both on consumers and in the market. Like, I know this is like the grand question for the episode, but it's like, what kind of strategies or ideas are there, that ways that for businesses to pivot during a recession to still grow?
This is what you got to do, Kevin. You got to cut out the fat. A lot of companies are spending money that they shouldn't be spending, right? They need to do a complete evaluation of their business, see where the leakages are. You have to, start really tighten up the ship. Okay, you may be overpaying for certain things in certain areas. You may have some subscription. Everyone has like subscriptions that they don't need. Okay, so you have to do a complete, and what we do at our firm, we do something called a financial SWOT analysis. Okay, to look at the company and benchmark certain areas. So you may be paying more for labor than your competitors are paying, right? So why you paying more is because you have better employees, you bring better value. That may be the case, right? But you identically want to benchmark. What's your turn on your receivables? How long you're taking to collect, right? So the first thing, you want to do a complete analysis of your business to see where the redundancies are and so on. That's the first thing, right? Look at the numbers, where you can save. The next thing is that you need to assess your team, because we all know, there is 80/20 principle that, you know, the 80/20 principle, right? You have 100 people in your workforce, 20 of them is probably doing the most amount of work and bringing in the most revenue for your company. So you want to first evaluate what the baseline is for your company, whatever your company morals are, right? As far as, what you look for in someone. There are people who have certain ethics. And if there's certain vision for your company, you want everyone in your company to be aligned with that, right? Once you establish that baseline, every employee that's below that baseline, either they need to get trained so they can meet that baseline or exceed, or you may need to decide, what you have to do with the bottom half, so to speak. So essentially, you start working away from the employees that are not really committed to the process, and then hiring folks that are even more so committed. So over a period of time, you have a more efficient and productive workforce. So those are the two places I would start. And then you always want to put yourself in a position where you can get financing, whether you need it or not. Have those lines ready, because you never know when you might need to meet payroll, or you need to make a big order for a product because you have a shipment that you want to fulfill, and so on. So I would start there. Start with the books, assess your books, assess your team. Actually, I'm going to give one more tip, Kevin, if you don't mind. You want to make your business more reliant on technology. And I say this because once you have a more tech-enabled business, it's easier to scale. So some companies to scale, right, if they want to go from, let's say, 1 million to 2 million, right, you may have to hire 5 people. I'm just giving an example, right? You're doing 1 million, when you get to 2 million, you may need to add 5 people in your team. If your business is more tech focused, right, instead of hiring 5 more people every year, you may need just maybe hire 1 or 2 more, and then have the other part covered by a technology solution, right? So see how you can utilize technology to scale and build your business that way.
Well, those are all really, really fascinating. You brought up the sort of interesting template and model for evaluating both like the recession and the threat side was external and internal things. And so when you just covered, okay, you got to look at your financials, make sure you prepared there, you have a great understanding of what's going on in your business. That seems to me a lot of like, okay, here's internal stuff you can look at. And then, amidst like there's the external stuff, you're not really having a lot of control on, but making sure your business, and it's something I've heard before too, is
well, you can vote.
Yeah,
that's one way to have some control of external factors. You can go out and vote, but go ahead.
The internal, the external, political, economic, like there's a lot there and it kind of moves a little slower than the stuff that's happening internally. So like focusing on the internal side, you did, and you mentioned the technology thing. So automation, operational efficiency seems to be the solution, and the answer I was finding online most often was them saying, this is something that you can push your business further with the same amount of money you've spent. Maybe, it's taking what you're doing and making it go further. And that is something that seems to be reflected across a lot of research online, is thriving in a recession is going to come from that piece of making sure you're running efficiently, right? That your business is doing the most it can with what it has. And then at the end of the day, it's like, look, if it's still driving you down, like it's probably a strong external force that's happening. If you're doing everything you can internally, the external force is really strong. So then,
but remember that external force is affecting everyone. So we all in the same, you understand? So even though you have external factors, it's not just affecting you, it's affecting everyone. So if you're looking for an exit or acquisition or valuation, you're still at the same level with your peers. So yeah.
And then the other thing I came across a lot was making sure that the relationships with partnerships or anything like that is also still a strong, because again, you just mentioned we're all in this sort of in this essence, all in this together, right? So if there are channels or partnerships or networks or anything that can help you either get education, networking, or drive more revenue, bring you more employees, or just like maybe help you establish a good relationship with a supplier, like those relationships are, what was mentioned, are also extremely valuable during a recession.
1,000%. I mean, we all want to help each other out. There are opportunities to connect folks and be a resource. I think, yeah, when it comes down to it, when you're in business, it's all about who you know and who's willing to help you, right? So if you keep yourself in good circles, in down times, you never know who can come to your aid. Yeah. So yeah, your network is directly in proportion to your net worth, right? That's what the that's what the saying goes.
Yeah. Now, one of the last questions I want to touch on is a little bit more of the emotional side. So, how are businesses surviving the anxiety, the stress, the pressure that a downturn or recession can bring? Like from the experience of maybe clients you've worked with, it's stressful just to be a business leader. So like the recession is just like another thing they're pushing up. So like the anxiety of the recession, like some people are reading everything and it's making them more anxious. So,
Yeah, don't read that stuff.
yeah.
Stay
So
away.
how are businesses like
My TV
over?
doesn't come on, man. My TV's off. My kids watch stuff in their rooms, but no, that negative news and the TV can put you in a downward spiral. So no, you want to stay empowered. So my clients, what I'll tell you, Kevin. So I have one client. He got hit. I wouldn't say pretty hard. He's doing okay. He just likes playing volleyball and basketball. That's his time off. That's his recreation. He goes out. He plays with his friends. He goes out to music festivals. Spends great time with his family. Remember I was mentioning before, you want to take time to do some research. There's a good time. Pick up a book. Read a great book. Take that trip. I have another client that loves golf, and he built a virtual golf thing in his office. So when he can't go out, he's there. But then he was in Pennsylvania last week. He's in Pennsylvania for an outing with the family. So hey, when it comes down to it, I think your health and your well being is most important, right? What's worth having all the money in the world if you can't enjoy it with your family, right? So that comes first. I highly recommend that you work with a coach or I don't want to say therapist, but I mean, quite frankly, it's stressful, and you could actually bring in, if you work with someone that you like, you can actually bring that in. You can make it part of your company culture, where you can have a well-being. You have some folks come in, and this is like a spa day, right? I have one of my clients that does that. They have a spa, comes in and gives all all the staff their mani pedis and get their facials and all that cool stuff. Just think of ways that you could treat your staff, make them know that you're thinking about them, right? Even the small things help. Yeah, I would do that. Just think about things, what drives you, what makes you passionate. If you have to spend a weekend by your grandkids, hold the babies, and you might reconnect with why you're really doing this.
Yeah. No, I think in this topic, there's a lot. Okay, here's the threat. Here's the opportunity. Here's why you would where you should go, why you could do what you would want to do. And then why are you doing this? Like there's a lot wrapped up in this topic of, okay, this is something like there's a hurdle coming ahead. How you're going to meet it. There's a lot of questions to consider, I think.
Hey, Kevin, I watched this video lately.
Yeah.
I don't spend much time on social media. When I do get on, for some reason, I get some really fascinating stuff. There was a race. This child, she maybe 9 years old. You mentioned hurdles. So I don't know if you saw it. So she was running and she fell on either the first or second hurdle. And hurdles are right.
Yeah, yeah.
Every second counts.
Yeah.
So you've seen these types of videos before, but this particular one, when I saw it, it's like, it's no way, like you kind of know it's going to end, but it's like, there's no way this girl is going to catch up with the other girls in this race. And I was like, wow. I was like, she fell down. I'm getting chills. We've been talking about this, man. She fell down and she was like so far behind, and she pushed and she pushed. But guess what? Remember we was talking about the marketing, taking your foot off the gas in a downtime? The leader of that pack, hey, I'm just going to take my foot off the gas because I'm doing fine. I'm cool here. Let me cut back a little bit. And it's always that one business. It's always that one entrepreneur that don't have to quit in them, right? That has that fight in them. And that's what this girl had. She had to fight. She jumped all of the hurdles and she came back all around and she won.
Gosh.
Crazy.
Yeah. I love things like that. I love that because it's something that's applicable to you. You could be like, okay, that's me in this situation right now. How am I going to overcome? How am I going to figure this out? Can I figure this out? You know?
Yeah, sometimes you have to be in that position, and our natural instincts kick in.
Yeah.
You go in survival mode, and that it just kicks in. So I don't know what time you have. I want to leave everyone with this, right? I had a coach that I was working with a couple of years ago, and I'll never forget what he said. You must always have low highs and high lows. And here's what that means. When you're doing good, right? You're on high, you're on cloud nine, the registers is coming in, your business is coming in, you're doing great, right? You want to get excited, but you don't want to get too excited, right? Because you don't want to forget where you came from, right? So you don't want to get so excited you go take these trips, blow all that cash, and forget what got you there, and you start slipping. You always have to remember where you came from. So you keep pushing and pushing and pushing to keep going up that hill. And life is a journey, right? It's a process. It's never going to end. It's going to end some point, but while we're here, we're taking one step again to that future, right? So you want to keep going. Then you want to have high lows. When you're at the bottom of that hill, when you're in a recession, when times is really bad, guess what? You kicked ass before, and you're going to kick ass again. Like, you've been here. Like, we are entrepreneurs. We are business people. We have been through this. We have that muscle memory kick in, and you start going back up the hill. So, hey, we always had recessions, and we've always bounced back. So if it's one thing I could leave your listeners with, keep on pushing, never stop, keep going. Just do it.
I think if anything, we've talked the most about like figuring out where you are so you can feel a little bit more confident, like figure out what is going on in the business or what's going on in an opportunity so you can, like, so much of this seems like it's a motivational pitch, but honestly, the optimism of the business definitely has an impact on how it's going to survive the downturn of recession. So we've talked about what the recession is, what it could mean, the threats, the opportunities. We've talked about some of the things that are happening to businesses right now, and also we've also talked, again, we've been focusing a lot on, that there is opportunity, that there's hope, that there's the vision, there is the strategy out there, and everyone's going through ups and downs in here. So it might be your turn to struggle right now or your turn to be on top, but like there's a good path forward. So that's sort of like a brief summary, but I really appreciate you coming on, Kyle. And again, if there's anyone who's like interested in reaching out to you, finding you, connecting with you, what are the best ways that you would have them connect with you?
So, well, Kevin, first of all, I appreciate you. I feel like we're having like a conversation. We at the bar, we had a coffee table, just having a conversation about this because I love this stuff, man. I appreciate it. I'm very passionate about this. So yeah, if anyone gets a hold of me, so my website is thenybbgroup.com, THENYBB as in New York Business Brokerage, thenybbgroup.com. That's my main website. My entire team is there. We've been doing this for almost 20 years. So we can help you any of your business acquisition or business sale needs or valuation needs. I love LinkedIn, man. LinkedIn's come a long way.
Yeah.
And I've been spending a lot more time there having fun. So I've been doing some more just launched my podcast exclusively on LinkedIn. It's called Kyle Sells Biz, Off the Record.
Awesome.
So you can find me there if you want to hear some more of my banter, and it's off the record, it's not recorded. So, you join in, you get my stuff and you can't hold me to it, so, so yeah, LinkedIn, there's Kyle Griffith at LinkedIn, or just Google my name. You're going to find me in a couple different places, but, my website or on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Kyle. It's always a pleasure. And I love just the open candor we have, and the jokes and the serious topic we can take on and explore, and ultimately to help businesses and other leaders out there who are finding themselves in an interesting position, and yes, they can grow their business. I think is a very encouraging message that we both have here.
Yeah, man, we can do it, man. Listen to podcasts like this. This gives you inspiration. There are people like you all across the world that are going through the same thing, and, get some mentorship, get some people in your corner that can support you. So thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity, and looking forward to Is it going to be a third time? I don't know. They might not want me back after this, right? So we'll see.
Oh, I love it.
But you might get tired of me by now. But thank you so much for the opportunity to come back and share and connect with you and the audience.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening to this episode, and I hope you feel encouraged about what you can do in your business, and look forward to the next topic, the next episode, coming out. So